Because she has no one duct tape her face. Very good! You're ready for your hour-long video! Fear and Hunger is one of those games where, like, I would never play it, but I'm very fascinated and impressed by it, so I think I might have it in my library just to, like, have it in my library to give money to the devs. You know what I mean? Because it's such an impressive game for how much it makes me think about shit. Let's get started! What actually happens in Fear and Hunger? This game's scary, by the way. And how it fucks you. All the time. I'm not familiar with this game. Oh, it's very unforgiving.
Fear and Hunger is a series that rarely tells you what's actually going on. Fans of the dark fantasy genre, or really anyone who's paid attention to any video game analysis in the past 20 years, should be familiar with this sort of storytelling, where a less is more approach can leave the audience totally enthralled even when they have no idea what's going on. The little glimmers of understanding these stories allow make excellent bait, drawing us further in each time we catch a glimpse of the bigger picture. And the act of sitting, thinking, and puzzling out the best answers we can, or even better, discussing them with the community, can lend a sense of having a personal connection to the story. There are a lot of ways this story can go.
Because you have to play again and again and again and again.
Can die at any time. The dungeon is wide open with many avenues of exploration, and a friend in one playthrough could be an enemy or even a victim the next. There are 5 endings, each of which can vary based on the player's actions, and there are a further 4 character-specific endings. There's enough to keep players puzzling over the game for weeks, if not months, and until the sequel came out, none of it was necessarily canon. But come out it did, and though the story of Termina takes place in a different country 400 years later, it makes it clear that several of the endings, or at least something similar to them, happened all at once.
Oh!
And so this analysis will explore this YouTuber's interpretation of the canonical version of events, with a disclaimer that your own understanding of the story may vary. If at any point this intrigues you enough, I highly encourage you to stop the video and pick up the game.
I won't be doing that. It is highly I can't talk. It is highly likely that the there's not even a highly. I'm just making a shit up now. It is likely that the events cannot perfectly map onto what is possible in the first game for a variety of reasons, not the least of which being that Miro probably wants things to be vague or in some cases unsolvable to ensure that no one playthrough is correct and that everyone can feel like their game was the real one in some way. Oh.
If at any point this intrigues you enough, I highly encourage you to stop the video and pick up the game. You can always come back and argue your own interpretation in the comments.
Fear and Hunger? Yeah!
Fear and Hunger tells the story of 4 people who have come to delve into the titular dungeons of Fear and Hunger. They each come separately and for their own reasons, but they all arrive at roughly the same time, just days after all hell has broken.
The guy on the left looks like something
unspeakably
like Jotaro Joestar.
The 4 roughly fit the description of a classic D&D adventuring party, but Vox Machina this is not. Fear and Hunger is not interested in that sort of larger-than-life character-driven story, where everybody's got a role to play in saving the world. It's more like something your metalhead friend would drop on you after smoking weed and watching Begotten too many times.
Damn!
Most of these people are going to die, and you are going to watch them do it. When starting a new game, the player chooses one of the 4 and goes through a short choose-your-own-adventure style backstory. The consequences of these choices are mostly minor, affecting starting equipment or skills, but all characters can forego 2 of their rewards in order to acquire the dash skill, which roughly doubles walking speed outside of combat.
Which is pretty good.
As the game includes both enemies that will pursue the player and a time-sensitive goal, this is generally recommended for new players. Regardless of who and what they choose, the player finds their avatar arriving at the dungeon's gates. An open port
with that dead-ass horse
entrance, but there's also a side door and an open area filled with a lot of interesting things to examine. If the player spends more than a few seconds looting the boxes and barrels scattered around the place, or worse, goes through the front door, they'll be set upon by a large pack of larger hounds and almost certainly torn to pieces, not even a full minute after completing their character history. The sound of the dogs as they approach, snapping and snarling, is enough to set your teeth on edge, and seeing their
that was good audio design
for the first time is a unique experience. Most players will eventually learn to go through the side door. A few will learn that this is not the game for them, and probably a smaller number will learn how to somehow defeat all the dogs without taking damage, although there's no reward for doing so. These are all correct answers, and the dog's placement in the very beginning of the game serves to perfectly signpost what's to come. The game is never going to stop being like this.
They fucking eat you, dude.
The dungeon, as it turns out, is not simply named after one of the game's major mechanics. All who enter find their strength and willpower supernaturally drained by the oppressive atmosphere of the place, and as the player enters, it quickly becomes clear that food is going to be a problem. Until quite recently, this place was a functioning prison. Now, the candles have gone out, half-eaten meals spoil where they've been left on the tables, and unearthly creatures float like jellyfish above the corpses that litter the floor.
Well, at least it didn't fucking grab me.
In terms of gameplay, Kahara is the rogue of the group. He's good at running away, he can steal, he can pick locks, and physically, he's just kind of in the middle.
Various states of
Kahara
rot.
is the first of the four to encounter what remains of the dungeon's
Oh!
guards.
Oh, that's right. His penis
Something
is out.
has warped them to huge, misshapen brutes, charging anything they see with massive meat cleavers in a violent parody of their former occupation. Unfortunately, chopping off limbs and protecting the dungeon isn't the only thing they have in mind. This is another
You can
point where I
attack their
expect a lot of
penis,
players
too.
will
You can
choose
cut
to
off their
find something
penis.
else to occupy their time. Jarring subject matter aside, fighting the guards
It's
is
called a
initially an
stinger,
exercise
though.
in frustration. Fear and Hunger treats every fight like a boss battle, and most enemies have multiple body parts which may be individually targeted and destroyed. These limbs will often each get a turn of their own to perform attacks, cast spells, or occasionally pull off special moves that prompt the player to call a coin toss. Success generally means dodging the attack, while failure can lead to an immediate loss. The guard's cleaver attack will casually chop off your character's arms, and their other hand has one of these instant death coin tosses. They'll also occasionally attack with their stinger, and even if all these parts are sliced off, they can still tackle for a healthy chunk of damage. New players will often try attacking different limbs only to discover that they're doomed no matter what they do. Each enemy is a puzzle. In the case of the guards, the ideal solution is simply to avoid them, but failing that, the order of operations is to attack their left arm, then guard, which automatically passes the coin flip attack, then hit the stinger, then the torso, guard again, and hit the torso twice more. This will often win the fight without taking any damage. It isn't this simple with every enemy, but once you understand what the game is asking of you, it goes from impossible to merely difficult.
Dark Souls.
Unfortunately, Kahara was not informed of this. He's promptly captured and left in a cell to rot. Enki Ankarian is on a quest for enlightenment, an obvious choice for one bearing the enlightened soul. Raised in the vicious tradition of the Dark Priests, who venerate the old gods in exchange for magical power, he is a man who has set aside all concepts of morality in search of knowledge.
Oh.
While attempting to ritually sacrifice
I wrote
himself,
a character like
he
that once for
concerning
D&D.
a prophecy that a fair-haired man who rivals the gods in both strength and beauty will unite the warring kingdoms under one banner and bring an end to the people's suffering, and that this man could be found in the dungeons of Fear and Hunger. But why him, thinks Enki, and not me? And so he has his fellow priests cut him down from the cross so that he can seize the reins of destiny. The guards pose little threat to Enki. The Dark Priest is physically frail, but his blood magic can burn their heads from their shoulders and stuff the souls of the departed back into their corpses to serve as his undead minions.
Minions!
It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's minted.
He makes his way to the libraries at the upper level, which are stocked with everything from children's fairy tales to tomes of arcane knowledge. He also meets with other men of the cloth, who tell him much before they die.
Oh. Like he kills them, or?
He discovers a secret passage leading to a secluded courtyard.
Oh.
Here, a group of bunny masks, naked revelers who have completely lost themselves in a never-ending ritual, invite passers-by to join them, seeming oblivious to the surrounding chaos.
Oh, they're fucking like bunnies.
Doing so will increase one's connection to Sylvia.
Can't show that in a Christian manga.
Comes with the risk of forgetting everything and becoming a permanent part of the ritual.
Oh.
Fear and Hunger's gods fall into two camps, the old gods and the new. While worship of the two is not mutually exclusive, Enki's interest extends primarily to the former. The old gods have existed since before time and created the world.
See all their penises out, by the way?
Their power is immense and unparalleled.
They're so tiny that they're not censored.
To any with the will to wield it, so long as they can pay the proper price. We're initially introduced to 4 of the old gods. There are others, though some are obscure or at least initially irrelevant. Grogoroth,
can't show
the
that in the
destroyer
Christian
of
manga.
Men, despite embodying
I'll
death
just
and
walk
decay,
around
is
slinging
not a
it.
malicious god.
I wish I could walk
Rather,
around slinging my
his will is to clear
penis.
space for new things to flourish and grow.
I might get one to
His
attach and
followers
just walk
receive
around
fearsome attack
helicoptering
magic
it
and the
for
ability to
fun.
create and control the undead. It's said that he's a curious god, frequently walking the earth in the guise of a mortal.
Oh.
Sylvian, his antithesis and wife, is the god of creation, fertility, and love. It was she who created humanity.
I don't know.
But eventually she came to
I haven't
realize
seen
that
the
her
original
creation
picture. I
could
don't know
never
if you have
love her
censored
like
it.
she loved them. And she has since grown distant. Regardless, her followers can still tap into potent healing magic. The god of the depths is a little-known entity worshipped by the desperate and forgotten. It has dominion over vermin and carrion birds, and unsurprisingly, its influence is strong within the dungeons.
Yeah, it's probably
For
very
millennia,
much.
the old gods held sway over the world, which was dominated by the cruelty of the strong. But just over 15 centuries ago, a
Ooh.
man named Al-Mur was born to a virgin mother in the holy city of Jataya. He gathered 12
Al-Mur.
apostles and traveled the land, spreading
Wait,
teachings of
Jesus?
the new world order. Eventually, the sultans and kings of the eastern sanctuaries, threatened by
Jesus
growing
is in this
influence,
game?
executed him by
Just-
crucifixion.
Named by Al-Mur?
This would prove to be their undoing, as upon dying, Al-Mur achieved divinity, joining the ranks of the old gods and sparking an uprising that saw the corrupt rulers slain. Thus
Oh my
began a
God.
new era, with Al-Mur becoming the primary figure of worship and his teachings becoming the basis for the laws of many of the kingdoms of the world. But as with the gods who had come before
Look
him,
at that penis.
Al-Mur's influence began to fade, and the great kingdoms which had prospered under his teachings crumbled over the centuries. In the 9th century, a new pantheon came to prominence. Though it failed to push Al-Mur out of favor in the Western world, its deities would once again create a new world order.
Yeah, there's a lot of penis
These
in this
gods were
game.
called the Endless, the Enlightened, the Dominating, and the Tormented.
Oh.
And their influence, more direct and personal than the gods who'd come before them, would bring humanity out of antiquity and into the Middle Ages. This is inarguably a little
I'd like to
confusing,
be the enlightened.
which may be why Haveranen has provided Al-Mur. An obvious analog for Christ as a way to orient ourselves. In real life, Christianity brought the world away from the monolithic and implacable gods of the pagan world to something more relatable.
Uh-huh.
Like many things in Fear and Hunger, this is a polarizing
Yeah, I heard
creative
this is gonna be a
decision,
Nagoshi
which
game.
nonetheless serves a useful narrative purpose. The role Jesus plays in real-life Christianity is quite similar to Al-Mur in the story. By making humanity the central focus of the religion, rather than the forces of nature, people are
Yup.
better able to relate to the divine. The same can be said of religions like Islam or Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
These faiths are very different from each other, and this is a gross oversimplification, but all three seek to pass down a system
No,
of
girl, this
morality
video is
via
already an hour long. You
aspirational
don't need to get
central
that in
figure
depth into
best
it.
exemplifies the belief
Your next
system.
video is 2 hours.
In
It's okay.
contrast, most ancient religions, especially old world paganism, tend to use their gods as a way to explain the world around them.
They did, yeah.
Thunder is the sound of Thor's hammer. The tide moves by the will of Poseidon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These implacable entities may love humanity, but they are remote, and
I'm so sorry. This is a very completely, entirely different like segue or tangent thing. We were playing D&D and my character and my friend's character got into an argument. Is water alive? Reapy, hello, hi, hello, hi. So in D&D we started arguing, is water alive? And then my friend's character said, of course water's alive, it moves. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. Science isn't real in this world. And my character goes, well, of course it's not alive. It's moved because of wind. And I'm like, DM, do we know about gravity and the moon and tides? And the DM's like, probably not. And I was like, oh fuck. How am I supposed to, if I don't have scientific evidence, how do I convince how does my character, who doesn't have a high intelligence, is a cleric by the way, talk about is water alive? I'm stealing this argument for some NPCs in a tavern. You should make one of them say like, yeah, the water's definitely not alive. You know what else? I bet the earth's round too. Because, like, you can't disprove it without modern scientific method. My character has a plan for this, actually. We're going to, on, like, a side note, this is going to be a side quest, right? For every major city, we're going to, this is how we're resolving. We're going to visit all of the major, all of the major gods that would relate to water. Like, we're going to go ask the god of wind, like, the priests, right? And then my friend goes, well, how do you know the priests aren't just delusional and think they're talking to the gods with the divination? Right? And I was like, I think between you and I, we'd be able to tell if someone's legitimate in their faith. Because, you know, cleric and paladin, by the way. This was a cleric and paladin argument. Is water alive? Which this came from the DM didn't expect this argument to happen, by the way. He like, we were just picking flowers by a beach, and this old man's there, and the old man goes, "Do you people wonder, is water alive?" And then it's been a multi-session occasional reference. But I was like, all right, let's come to a pause on this, right? Neither of us are going to budge. As a wizard player, I don't know if it's alive, and I know how to make sure it isn't any longer. And the thing is, I can summon it, right? And then we started getting into water elementals. So we asked, like, wizards, like, what do you suppose water elementals are? And then the paladin goes, well, they're alive, aren't they? Water elementals are alive. And I'm like, well, are they sentient? Well, they can become enraged, so clearly they have some sort of sentience. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Well, what are water elementals born from? Oh, water. Water elementals are born from water, so water gives birth to water elementals. And I'm like, oh, shit. My argument's falling. Saying it moves by wind is actually losing. Dog, my cleric was losing the argument that water's not alive. As an artificer, I don't know if it's alive, but I can sure as fuck make a mech to make it alive. Your DM should change the campaign to be about water. It's about other things, but my current goal is when we reach level 5, I'm going to divine, and my character doesn't know who her god is, right? I told my DM, you're gonna have to figure out who the god I worship is, so I can actually use the divination spell when the time comes. Like, I don't know. I think we agreed on it. I don't remember. It's been a few weeks. We're taking a few week-long break. That's why I'm streaming on Saturdays now. Because I don't have D&D. I'm going to forget. There's going to be a week where it's like, yeah, we're on for this week finally because we're back from our break. And I'm going to be like, yay, we're back from our break. Start streaming. No, the scale of the campaign, I'm pretty sure. I once played a cleric whose god was the Ohio State Buckeye mascot. Oh my. Anyway, back to my video. Completely random tangent. I just had to tell you about that. Is it a secret or worshiping a god with an unknown name? I will tell you what my party knows, because I like to occasionally give you snippets from my D&D game and let you guys try to draw conclusions, because I'm being very secretive as well. My character seems very confused about several things, right? She knows her name, she knows all of her background, but one of her first questions was asking what year it was, the name of the country she's in, and she learned that it's a very new country formed maybe 200, 300 years ago. She goes, oh, so it's a very young country, huh? Hasn't really been around that long, so that's probably why I don't know about it. Constantly reading history books and constantly going to every single temple that she comes across and trying to talk to the gods there. And also has mentioned that she dislikes gods and that they're not necessary. And she believes that gods are not necessary in the world they live in now. It's very fun. It's a very fun character that I get to do. And supposedly, during the ancient war, there was a elven warrior with her exact name that was at the forefront of this war that disappeared during the war hundreds of years ago. And we did find a painting that looks exactly like her. And during a conversation with an elder who's like 600 some years old goes, oh yes, I remember Varen. She was so cool. She looked just like you. And my character Varen looked very pleased with herself. And no one's asking me any damn questions. No one's asking me any damn questions. The big real is that's just a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. It's actually pretty simple, but it's also very fun at the same time, right? And oh, she's a cleric of peace. She's a peace cleric, peace domain cleric. I know peace domains aren't very like cool, right? But it's very thematic. I will say that. It's a very thematic journey to be a peace domain cleric. But yeah, that's my D&D character. I wonder. I can't tell you everything because sometimes my friends watch my VODs too. I'm not telling you guys! Find out in the campaign! I can't tell you everything because sometimes my friends watch my VODs too.
I'm watching you, motherfucker.
Back to our video.
In many ways unknowable. So the old gods, including Almer, are clear allusions to real-world religion. What is harder to see is exactly how the new gods play into things. Only two of our protagonists are religious, and while one follows all of the old gods, the other is a devout worshipper of Almer, and from her we learn that this is still the dominant religion in Rondon. In the dungeons, we find only a single statue of the new gods, while the old gods are venerated everywhere. So who are they, and how did they bring about a new world order? So much of this game is inspired by Kentaro Miura's Berserk, and the idea of a quartet of shadowy figures who remake the world without ever stepping into center stage is likely drawn from the God Hand, who operate in a similar fashion.
I like when people grow up to media like Berserk and create shit like Fear and Hunger.
North that produces advanced ships and sturdy warriors. At a young age, he joined an expedition across the Western Ocean to the continent of Vinland. Hoping to find treasure, the crew only met with madness. The entire continent was under the sway of the god of the depths, blanketed in an unnatural darkness that infected the minds of the crew and nearly drove them all to kill each other. Ragnvaldr was one of the few to escape, and all the expedition had to show for its effort was a strange artifact, the Cube of the Depths. Tragedy would come again when a mercenary group known as the Knights of the Midnight Sun struck deep into Oldegard in search of the Cube. Once again, Ragnvaldr survived, but his wife and son did not.
No!
It may be that Ragnvaldr's tormented soul is the source of his unhappy luck, seemingly keeping him alive only to further his suffering. Shortly after returning from Oldegard with the Cube, the Knights of the Midnight Sun would take part in a coup against the Monarch of Rondon, an act which ended in failure, with the Knights and their leader, Legard, taken prisoner in the dungeons of Fear and Hunger.
Oh.
And so Ragnvaldr pursues him, intent on avenging his family and reclaiming the Cube. Armed with a bow, he can damage enemies before engaging in combat, and he boasts the highest attack power of the four protagonists, allowing him to excel in melee combat as well.
Wait, so he's got a...
follows in Enki's footsteps, only stopping to strike down a guard and pick up a weapon or two. Everywhere, he encounters signs of the same influence that corrupted Vinland, a hateful darkness that takes root in the land and slowly begins to propagate. This door was sealed until recently, when someone dispelled the magical lock. Inside, Ragnvaldr finds a hexen table, a special altar built to channel divine power. While the man has little use for gods, old or new, he knows he'll need better weaponry to deal with the evil that lurks in this place. So he places his spear atop the table and passes a soul stone over it, imbuing it with a powerful curse.
Oh my god, you gotta look up so much shit. Or like, touch so much stuff.
Darce is Legard's closest lieutenant. Once a holy knight of Rondon, she grew disillusioned with the greed of the nobility, who spoke of religious ideals while sending their armies to pillage and conquer for personal gain. Charmed by Legard's charisma and ability, she left her order to join his company of mercenaries, the Knights of the Midnight Sun. The company made quite a name for itself, and in time, Darce realized she had fallen in love with her captain. When his rebellion failed and he was captured, she decided to risk everything on a solo rescue mission.
Oh my god, wait, so they're opposites.
Despite being second in command, Darce bears the dominating soul, which has a tendency to draw people to her, but also to blind her to her own flaws. She makes her way through the eastern side of the dungeon, fighting past the guards until she reaches the cells on the 3rd level. But Legard isn't here, only a scruffy Easterner who introduces himself as Kahara. He seems happy to be released, but as soon as she turns her back on him, he's gone, and her purse feels a little lighter. Darce decides to head up to the 1st floor, traveling through a sewer heaped with rotting corpses along a river of knee-deep blood. It seems preposterous that so many people could have met their end here. Even as large as this place is, the cells could never have held them all. It would seem
that's why they're all dead in the hallway.
Has been fueling this place with fresh victims for whatever abominable rituals are taking place here. Finding her way out of the blood pit, Darce manages to surprise Torture, the torturer with the world's unlikeliest name. Despite his threats, she easily dispatches the frail little man. Not far down the hall, she discovers the person she'd been looking for, Lord Ludwig Buckman, the Crown Prince of Rondon. Buckman is part of an adventuring party that arrived here a few days prior.
Oh, that's why
and
he's still kind
already
of
beginning
sane.
to snap. Though the man would have been Darce's enemy on the battlefield, the politics of the outside world hardly seem relevant now.
Yeah, they're
She
kind
invites him
of
to
they're
join
kind
her,
of
but he's too
fuckoed.
frightened to explore the darkness any further. Fair enough. Lagarde isn't in the torture chambers either, but she does find somebody else. Locked in a small cage like an animal, a little girl in a ratty black dress cowers away from the torchlight. She's clearly been here for a very long time. She won't or can't speak, but the knight's heart is moved by the pitiful sight. She quickly unlocks
And she
the
has to
cage
come
and
with
coaxes
you.
her out. No place is safe in the dungeon. Letting an innocent child remain here
The
would be
maggots run up
unconscionable,
your
and
arm?
leaving is
Ugh.
impossible, so the only choice is to bring her along. There's no telling what horrors the girl has seen or experienced here, but
Naked
Darce can
bodies
offer
again.
one small comfort. There was a strange little doll back in Kahara's cell. It's a creepy-looking thing, and the fact that it bears a passing resemblance to Lagarde is unsettling. But the girl is astonished to receive it, as though the simple gesture is the
Little
first
gift.
kindness she's received in a very long time.
She
The
loves
circular
it.
stairs that descend into the lower levels of the prison are locked up tight. If Lagarde is still alive, he must be held down there. And so there's only one way to go. Kahara finds that the mists still prevent his escape. He's just about given up on his goal. No prize is worth what he's already experienced, and only torment and death await below. All he has to do is bide his time and flee with whatever he can once the weather turns. The knight's purse is a good start, but surely there's something else here.
Ooh.
The elevator carries Darce and her little companion down to an impossibly vast cavern. Cave gnomes, gnarled little gremlins that attack anything they can find with their sharp teeth, flit around like bats in the dark,
Ugh.
and their rancid
There's so
eggs
many
litter the floor.
bodies. That must smell like
The
shit.
cave mother is deceptively easy. Attacking its chest will stop the cave gnomes from showing up, but it's usually just faster to destroy the wings, as this will end the battle no matter how many adds there are. The little girl is not an effective fighter, but she can use items as well as anybody else, including throwing knives. In short order, the pair send the monster plummeting to its apparent doom.
Apparent.
Nursing their wounds, they continue through the dark until they spot what Darce initially mistakes to be a man. Pocket Cat is a children's fairy tale. A
Oh,
Krampus-like figure who steals bad little boys and girls away from their homes, stuffing them into sacks and taking
I
them
want to
away
die
and never
is
see
a
their
crazy
parents again.
dialogue option.
He's a tall, thin figure with dapper clothing and yellow eyes that shine behind his wooden mask. His hand moves in his pocket as he leers at the girl. He greets the two with cheerful courtesy and makes Darce an offer. He'll buy the child, relieving her of the responsibility of her care, and in return he'll give her any number of wonderful things. Books of terrible arcane power, or a mighty claymore that makes her longsword look like a toothpick.
Ew.
Though she says nothing,
Did you
the
see
girl
that?
is
He
clearly frightened
the
of the
textural.
creature.
I like her hips.
Darce is not tempted in the slightest. She politely declines, and though Pocket Cat seems disappointed, he gives her a pleasant goodbye. Beyond the caverns, the pair are surprised to discover what appears to be a mine. Tracks have been laid for carts and stone hauled out of the tunnels in great quantities, but the work has clearly been hasty. Liberal use of explosives
Oh,
and
you
a
gotta
lack
be
of regard
sneaky,
for
huh?
safety have led to the caverns collapsing in places, blocking off tunnels and making it even more of a claustrophobic labyrinth. Darce is no miner, but to the untrained eye, none of this looks like ore. It's all just stone. So what were they
Rocks.
digging for? The pair continue on, sneaking past a meditating man garbed in yellow, and eventually coming to a strange village populated by subterranean
penis.
humanoids. The creatures seem peaceful enough, but the place is littered with human bones piled up in homage to some dark god, suggesting they may be more fearful than friendly. At the edge of the village, a great chasm yawns open, a sheer drop into infinite darkness. A narrow precipice bridges a gap to the lips and teeth of some enormous monster, a
Ugh.
sight that makes Darce's skin crawl. She leads the girl away, but stops to check a nearby hut.
Penis.
Upon a profane altar rests the prize that the Knights of the Midnight Sun claimed from their campaign in Oldegard. It is the Cube of the Depths, Lagarde's prized trophy. If this is here, he can't be far.
Investigate.
She takes the cube from the altar, and as she steps out of the makeshift temple, one of the nearby dwellers raises the hue and cry. The commotion sets off the entire village, and they descend on the
No,
night with rocks and
she stole their
spears.
cube. That's why they're
Already
mad.
wounded, she manages to slay only a few before she's knocked down. The girl tries to intervene, and though the dwellers scarcely lay a finger on her, she's too small to be of any help. Far above, Ragnvaldr passes through a courtyard populated by a mindless cult of bunny masks and a man who claims to be turning into a butterfly.
Oh,
He leaves them in peace and comes to an unnatural-looking tree, which appears to have grown around a few fresh
so these are all like
pulses.
happening at
A
once. That's so
hollow in its
interesting.
trunk leads into a bizarre chamber formed entirely out of roots and vines. He finds that by pressing the walls in places, he can open new passageways, and the floor has weakened, permitting him access to lower levels. The influence of the darkness is strong here.
That's
Frail shapes with
horrific. Did you
bloated
see that
heads
text that
wander
says,
back and forth,
you feel a
murmuring
presence has
nonsense
entered
to
the place
themselves.
with you?
Surely these were people once, driven mad by the god of the depths. Only one place is free of the corruption, a bare spot where a sword has been plunged into the ground. Despite an ominous sensation, the Outlander grips the eastern blade and pulls it free. It has been here battling the darkness alone for a very long time, but now it will have an ally. He is immediately
together.
attacked by the specter of its former owner, who wordlessly motions for him to return the blade. But it won't do to leave the weapon here, nor to let its former owner remain chained in torment.
Fuck you,
He
it's my
strikes the
sword
spear with
now.
his cursed blade, severing its ties to
It's
the
all
sword and speeding it on to
intertwined.
its final
Like the
reward.
roots in this cave.
With the assassin specter's blessing and his new blade in hand, the Outlander continues downward, hoping to honor the man's memory by using his blade to continue the war against the darkness.
War against the darkness. War. Purified? It's just like
Further
Silent
down,
Hill
he
F.
encounters a gigantic
Ugh.
heart pulsating among the vines. Without
Ugh.
hesitation, he plunges his blade into it and moves ever deeper.
Is it a womb or a heart? What do you think?
Dropping down
It was
yet
probably a
another
womb
hole,
is
the
something
Outlander
inside
finds
that was
himself in
alive.
Catacombs swarming with biting insects.
Ew. Your ankle feels a little hurt from the fall? Fuck this game, dog.
Here, he finds another heart and destroys it. He must be close to his prey now. He can feel it.
Oh,
Puzzling
the
over his
cube.
maps, Kahara comes across an unexpected sight. A village of some sort of cave people. They flee from his torchlight, but make no motion to harm him. The knight who freed him lies half-conscious on the floor as one of the cave dwellers tries to bash her head in with a rock. He wants to leave her. The cave people haven't been bothering him, and there's no reason to get involved. But something in him just can't. He slips his sword from his belt and rushes in to help. The troglodyte falls before it can finish her off, but its death cry is answered by hoots and growls
Spleen
from
for
the
sure.
others. As always, no good deed can go unpunished. To the mercenary's surprise, a small child emerges from the dark and clings to Darce, trying to help her up. Somehow, she wasn't harmed by the cave dwellers.
Heretics.
The knight, battered and bruised but still in one piece, gives Kahara her emphatic thanks, seeming profoundly shamed by her near-death experience. The trio decide to flee the now hostile village by dropping down a mine shaft, where they are shocked to discover a group of men and women in wolf masks gorging themselves on each other's flesh.
Ugh.
They draw their blade, but the cannibals pay them little mind. Darce recoils in
Pretend
horror,
the girls
but
in the
Kahara
party here. I'm
immediately
not
understands
re-recording
what's
the
happened.
mines again.
This must be what remains of Captain Rudimer's expedition. They came down to eliminate the source of evil plaguing the upper dungeons, and instead they fell victim to it. Starvation drove them to cannibalism, and cannibalism to Grogeroth. Like the bunny masks, they've lost their minds to the ecstasy of the feast. The ritual will last until its final celebrant has devoured themselves.
So do you think it's like all the sins that they had committed before they entered the dungeon? Because they had the fucking cannibalism was happening with the people in Vinland, right? With that mercenary guy? Oh my god.
Nobody
It's all
stops them as they
connected.
leave, moving blindly through the caverns until they once again find cart tracks to follow. Kahara swears he sees a figure following them, but the other two can't make anything out. Before long, the tracks come
avoid
to
it.
an end, and the rough stone of the mines is replaced with pavement and masonry. It's the dungeon! Imagine being happy to see this place.
I wouldn't be.
Swarms of vermin crawl across the floor, biting and stinging the three as they follow Darce, who practically sprints down the hall, heedless of the split-open heart bulging out of the floor or the dead guard in the hall.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
She follows a trail of blood to a barred door, and beyond. The guard is dead. His throat has been cut. All of this was for nothing.
Well, I mean, you
If
have your
only Darce
answer.
had been faster. She falls to her knees, sobbing. The girl can only stare at him with an uncanny look of recognition, tears on her cheeks. Kahara scoffs. All this for nothing. He can't help but be annoyed by the dead man. What was any of this even for?
You okay?
Eventually, Darce pulls herself together to leave, but as she does, she encounters a strange man who comments on Lagarde's importance and how unexpected it is that he didn't make it. He gestures at a dark corridor, suggesting the three give it a look. After all, Lagarde came here for a reason. Lagarde's fate is decided simply by how quickly you can reach him. Sleeping, fighting, having a dalliance with the bunny masks, none of that matters. If the time on your file is under 30 minutes, the man is alive. If it's over, he's dead. Which is the canon outcome is a matter of debate, but
Ending C would seem to be canon, except Termina confirms it does not go as well as the end card suggests. Per dialogue with August, this puts it into doubt in addition to optional dialogue during Termina's ending A route. As well as an animation scene there, to me suggests that something between Darce's S and C2 is canon. There's probably not a real answer either. Works perfectly precise. More agency in the story.
due to the mutual exclusivity of certain confirmed canon events if things go otherwise, Lagarde's death would seem to be the likelier of the two. The dungeons are sacred to the old
Speedrun.
faith, a nexus where the barrier between worlds is thin. It is said to be one of the last places where a man may meet his creators, and according to the priests who now lie strewn about their own altar, a ritual is underway to bring about
I wonder how many times
paradise.
you're expected to play this to figure everything out.
What exactly that means
At
is
least
uncertain,
100 hours.
But Lagarde was supposed
Gotta
to be
be.
the key. Enki digs around the corpse pile until he pulls his prize free. A severed head. The funny dancing men are yellow mages, cultists of this head, the great wizard
Oh.
Nasra, who are here to do their master's bidding. Or they were until Enki killed them. The floating head can't help but laugh at his moxie, and once Enki explains that he had a vision that enlightenment awaits him in the depths, Nasra agrees to take him on as a pupil.
Oh, yay!
Nasra is a fantastic party member. He's also incredibly foul-mouthed and will roast, sometimes literally, the hell out of a lot of the characters that you encounter. Hundreds of years ago, Nasra was known as the doom and terror of modern man. He's a
Doom
villainous
and
wizard in the
Terror?
mold of Vecna
That should be
or
the sequel
Abdul
name,
Al-Azred,
actually.
And though he and his cult venerate Grogroth, it's entirely transactional. The Yellow Mages believe in serving only insofar as it advances their aims, hating all gods
Real.
and kings but themselves.
He can't equip
As he
anything because
wanders
he's
the
just
cavern,
ahead.
smashing gnome eggs, he hears the snarl of a cave wolf. The six-eyed creature has a mouthful of razor teeth, but the Outlander senses a certain nobility in her bearing.
He
She's
can wear a
creature
hat.
of
He
the dark,
can wear a
but
hat.
unlike so many others, she's held on to her sanity.
He can't adjust it.
He throws her some old meat, and in short order, the two are the best of friends. He names her
Besties.
Moonless, and the two travel the caverns, striking down evil and marking their territory wherever they go. The Cave Mother, as it turns out, survived its encounter with Darce.
She has a
Moonless,
penis?
It charges Ragnvalder in the dark, but
Or is that her
strikes it down
coochie?
with a single
I think it might
stroke
be
of
her
his eastern
coochie,
sword.
actually.
Near the village of the dwellers, they encounter the salmon snake,
Ew.
a gigantic axolotl that may as well be a dragon. Ragnvalder distracts
He
it
looks
with
a little
few of the
cracked
remaining
out.
gnome eggs, while Moonless gets into position and tears out its eye. Blinded, the creature is no
Blinded.
match for Eastern steel. The salmon snake is deceptively easy, especially if you have two party members. If you have a soul stone, killing it will grant the salmon snake's soul, an accessory that prevents bleeding and limb loss.
Ooh, that's really
The
good.
pair eventually bump into Enki and Nasra at the home of an alchemist who has taken up residence in the caverns. While the Outlander is initially skeptical, Nasra has a plan that's simply too good to pass up. Kahara follows along after Darce as she approaches the great doors and raises the cube. He tries to convince her to turn back, but she won't hear it. This had to mean something. The doors swing open.
I wouldn't die
revealing
by
a much
saying this
older
has to
set of
mean something.
catacombs with
Sometimes things don't mean
unfamiliar
anything.
architecture. The three evade the undead and defeat a multi-armed insect creature before finding their way
Cool.
through, only to discover something impossible. There's an entire city buried down here. Though the place is shrouded in darkness and fallen into ruin, they all recognize it. It's Mahabd, city of the gods, the place where people wander in their dreams.
Oh my god.
They make
People
their way down
wander
the
to this
cobbled
place in their
streets until they
dreams?
encounter a large, hairy creature dragging a half-dead knight away into the
Oh.
darkness. Kahara gets a sinking feeling in his stomach as he once again finds himself playing hero. The monster speaks briefly about needing to capture people for its master, but the dumb brute doesn't remember who it serves or what its purpose is beyond that. Soon, it lies dead on the cobbles. The knight is Jeanne. She's badly wounded and has lost an arm. but she's
Jeanne
alive.
d'Arc?
Jeanne is a member of Lord Buckman's party. She was searching for Captain Rudimer when she fell in battle and was captured. Nobody's seen hide nor hair of the man, and one of the party,
If they can visit their
Cicero,
dreams
is
that they have
still
traveled to
missing.
get there, they ended up
If he can be
here.
found, what's left of Buckman's party could at least be reunited. Unfortunately, Jeanne is gravely wounded and unable to make the trip back to her group herself. Left alone, she would not survive. Still, Darce refuses to turn back. Kahara is finally forced to admit that the woman has gone mad with grief, and he won't be able to convince her. But there's no reason to leave an innocent child with her. Supporting Jeanne with one arm, he takes the girl and leaves Darce to her lonely fate. Reunited save for the missing Sir Cyril, Buckman's party begins to believe for the first time in days that there may still be hope for their expedition. Ragnvaldr listens as Enki discusses the riddle of the divine with his new friend Nosramus.
I wonder if they
a
actually get to
scholar and alchemist
leave.
living
Probably
deep
not
in the
though, right?
mines. There's something otherworldly about the man, and he's as unsettling as he is kind. 800 years ago, a group of 5 people known as the Fellowship, Francois, Nilvan, Valtiel, Ron Shambara, and a 5th member forgotten by history, shot Mahabd, the city of the gods. The New World Order
That's how they
established by
became the new
Ascension of Almer
gods.
had failed. The world was in chaos, and their intent was to either entreat the old gods for aid, or do what Almer had done, and become gods themselves. They fought their way into the city, chasing off the servants of the old gods and eventually claiming the throne for themselves. But, as Nazra will attest, they did not become real gods. Their ascension would provide them great longevity and fantastic powers, but they'd been duped, and they weren't even the first ones to try it.
Oh,
Mahabd is a place where mortals seeking power have gone for centuries, only to be blinded, overwhelmed, and ultimately enslaved by it, carrying out the bidding of the old
damn.
gods even as they thought they were replacing them. Once ascended, the Fellowship did succeed in bringing about a new world order, manipulating world events to shape human affairs according to their desires.
Well,
But this age was
a win's a
fragile,
win.
and only a little better than the last.
A win is a
Eventually,
win.
It too would fall to chaos as the feudal age
Well-
crumbled under the stress of plague and warfare.
Plague.
Nosramus was the 5th member of the Fellowship, and he hands Enki a trinket, something to remind himself of who and what he is, a soul anchor should he ever face the divine. Leaving Nosramus to his studies, the 2 men, the floating head and the cave wolf, make their way to the catacombs and are surprised to find the doors to Mahabd open.
Do you think the dog's
The
gonna
ruined
become a
streets are
god with
quiet,
them?
And save for a few signs of violence, they see no one.
Because Darce is here.
Ragnvaldr is shocked to discover that the cube of the depths has been left in the slot on this machine. He reaches out to touch it, and with a flash of green light, the 4 find themselves above ground, the city of Mahabd spread out around them in all its former splendor.
The cube.
The late afternoon sun offers no heat as it beats down on the Golden City, and the townspeople
you,
are no more than
Zuar Jelly.
shadows. This feels more like an illusion than the real thing. Or perhaps it's a little bit of both.
Oh, look at that fucking tower. I love a good tower.
They head down the streets of the past, scaling a tower that eventually takes them to a chamber with a large bed.
Oh. Orgy?
As though compelled
Leave the
by
dog
the
at the
hazy
door.
atmosphere, they doze off and are overwhelmed with an intense shared dream.
In my restless dreams, I see that place. Silent Hill.
This is the capital city of Rondon. In
Oh.
contrast to Mahabd's gilded towers, it's a muddy, miserable place, and something about it
Yeah, it
feels
sounds like
warped
London,
and
all right.
alien. Finding themselves in a brothel, they witness an interaction between a man named Kahara and a woman named
Oh.
Celeste. Celeste is a sex worker, and it turns out she's pregnant.
Oh.
Kahara has always prized his freedom above everything else. For once, he feels compelled to take responsibility.
Oh my god,
This
Kahara
job, he
W!
says, and it's dangerous. But it pays enough that the 2 could leave their uncertain occupations and settle down to raise a family together.
Oh, her tits are
Celeste
out.
worries for Kahara's safety, but she knows better than to try talking him out of it. The vision
I
fades.
hope
the
Kahara
2 were only
lives.
phantoms,
Probably not. This
a
is
part of the
Fear&Hunger.
dream. They next find Enki crucified.
Oh.
Not for any crime, but rather out of ennui. It's a ritual sacrifice. The man has learned all that he can through his studies and found nothing, so he consigns himself to Almer. But at the last minute, he sees a vision. The new gods whisper in his ear. What he seeks can be found in the depths, and so he has his priests release
Oh, is
him,
this
and he's
everyone's
gone.
origin story?
Not far away, the very same priests claim that salvation is coming. Stepping over a few plague victims, the group leaves by the gate and find themselves in a familiar battlefield in Oldegard. A pit grows in Ragnvaldr's stomach as he watches himself on that awful day when he came home to discover that the Knights of the Midnight Sun had massacred the people of his village, who fought to the last.
And Dars is a member of the Knights of the Midnight Sun. Oh my god.
Within the Outlander's home, they find only inky blackness and an old woman spinning thread. After a moment, she explodes into movement.
Oh my god.
Into some kind of articulated murder machine.
That's like that demonic Miku that they're selling.
Are confronted with a final pair of visions. The guard, who believes that he has prophesied to bring about a new age, and Dars, who, despite her doubts, is willing to place her faith in her beloved and whatever he's planning. A half-nude woman descends toward the group, radiating brilliant white light.
Demonic Miku, I'm shit.
She is Nilvan the Endless, one of the new gods. She tells them that the time of the new gods is at an end, and that mankind was unable to break free from the old gods' influence. Something bigger and better is required. She asks that the group agree to see her child, a girl lost somewhere in the dungeon, to safety, down into the heart of darkness. She trusts her own soul to the men, hoping they can use it to accomplish what the Fellowship could not.
Her child, is it not?
They certainly haven't seen
the little
or heard
girl?
of any
Oh my
child,
god.
but in an instant, Lagarde's plan is made clear. Lagarde must have intended to gather the souls of the 4 new gods in the hopes of combining them with his own, creating something more than they were in his ascent. To Natra, the idea
Kahara has the
patently
baby,
moronic.
the girl.
It would mean climbing into the trap that the old gods had laid for ambitious men and expecting that this time, it was going to be different. Regardless, Ragnvaldr saw to it that no such thing would happen, and now Enki and Nasra both see an opportunity before them. For the Dark Priest, the souls may offer the key to enlightenment. For Nasra, this is just desserts. Nasra, as it turns out, was a new god. The Fellowship thought they were the first, but this too is a lie. The old gods have kept new gods as pawns for a very long time now, and just as Nasra outwitted Betel and stole his title, so too was he deposed by the Fellowship. The wizard now exists as an agent of chaos, and would be glad for the chance to tear down the phony pillars of order while also exacting his revenge.
Oh.
They proceed to the Grand Library, a palatial storehouse of knowledge populated by strange,
No wonder he's so
beings
powerfully
created by
with
Valtiel, the Enlightened One. They try to fashion a new body for Nasra, but Valtiel's cloning devices result only in imperfect husks. As with many other things, the true secrets of creation remain hidden to the new gods. Valtiel himself is found in the depths of the library. He plunges
was
off
not
a deep
fireproof.
ledge,
No,
only to arise
he
as a
fucking-
gigantic head that incessantly questions the group as they fend off its magical attacks. But soon, the thing is dead,
No
and the soul
enlightenment?
of the enlightened is theirs. Valtiel died having failed to ever achieve anything like the power or understanding of the old gods, a stern warning to Enki and a source of smug satisfaction for Nasra. Next, they track Ron Shambara, now known as the Tormented One, to an elaborate prison. By creating a clone husk and sacrificing it, they're able to summon the Tormented One from its pool of blood.
Ugh. Why would you want to become the
This is a two-stage
tormented
fight.
one?
The first form is straightforward, but in the second stage, Ron will hook himself up to this
Who?
gyroscope thing.
Ew.
He does massive damage, and you need to attack the outer wheels to make the inner body vulnerable.
Why would you
The god
ever
sinks
want to be
into
the
pool,
tormented one?
Released from centuries of unknowable torment, and the group adds his soul to their collection. Now,
Like,
only
imagine,
one god
like,
remains.
all right, let's pull lots. Which one are you gonna
They
be?
mow through a grisly collection
Oh, I
of
want to be
monsters
the
in search
endless
of
one.
Francois,
Oh, I want to
the
be the
dominant one,
enlightened.
and find him in the present day,
Fuck, I gotta be the
overseeing his
tormented
kennel.
one.
But rather than the vicious warlord they'd imagined, he's a worn-out old man, well aware that he's been cozened.
Francois, you old shitworm.
He's astonished to see Nasra in the few seconds he gets before he's incinerated.
Oh.
But his soul is not found among the ashes. If the Fellowship is to truly be defeated, then the group must face Francois in the past, at the height of his power.
Damn.
There's a little room in Mahab where one can visit the Hall of the Gods. Here, we learn what becomes of them when they retire. They're relinquished to this room to sit, talk, and ponder eternity, no longer able to influence the world. They'll answer
Damn.
questions, and they really have a lot to say about a surprising number of subjects. This has been criticized as telling, not showing, and while that's true, there's very little information here that couldn't be inferred from the game proper. The hall mostly serves as a place to clarify things one might have missed, or to have your lore theories confirmed. The important thing is to ask them about Nasra while he's still in your party.
His mind was weak, his body was weak. Damn. Damn, they're fucking insulting the fuck out of him. Better half than crisp. Oh. Oh, they all look different. This dude rules.
All that remains is to confront Francois at the throne. This time, it's not so easy. The Francois of the past has no idea of the snare he's caught in and fights like hell to preserve his dominion.
Francois, the dominating one. Would you guys rather be the dominating one, the endless one, or the enlightened one? Or if you're a freak, do you want to be the tormented one?
But eventually, the three triumph and he lies broken on the
The
floor.
tormented. Why the fuck do you want to be the
Now
tormented
carrying all
one?
4 souls, Enki considers the throne. Nasra predated Valtiel, and Betel came before that.
You can be anything you
It's
want to be, and
unlikely
you're
that
gonna
he
be the
was the
tormented
first.
one.
The time shift.
I want to be the endless one.
Anyone who comes to this place
Wait, is
seeking the
endless
throne,
just having
no matter
multiple
when they do
babies?
it,
I'd like to be
can
the
arrive
enlightened
at
one.
this moment in the year 809. To the outside world,
This is
there's
not
only been
Planet
one set of
Fitness.
new
We are
gods,
judging
but
here.
Having met the alumni and visited the Great Hall, their numbers are clearly innumerable. Every so often, things get bad enough that someone comes here and does this all over again, putting themselves in a time loop and ensuring that eventually their divine tenure will be removed from the timeline when somebody else shows up to replace them. And the nature of entropy is that sooner or later, this happens no matter what. Or maybe not. Some writings suggest that the first new gods ascended centuries prior. Nasra's legacy certainly wasn't excised from history, and he maintains a cult to this day. So what exactly is going on here? For Enki, leaving would mean turning his back on the biggest leap forward he could ever take. It wouldn't do to come this far and not try it. The Dark Priest ignores Nasra's warnings and sits on the throne. He finds himself alone in the void, a barren world far from his own. Its surface of barren gray stone is lit from within by a ghastly green glow. This place is what the new gods call the other side of the coin.
I'll pretend he's
the
Enki,
realm
don't
of
worry.
The old gods. Here, in the presence of their power, ascension is made possible. Depending on who joins you in the green, you might learn more about it. Ragnvaldr has apparently been surviving here for a very long time, though we've just arrived. If you bring Lagarde, he says it's been a century since you sat on the throne, but somehow only an eye blink for you. The void exists outside of human
it's
understanding,
green!
and probably outside of time itself. This is Elder God business, and it's likely the source of all the timeline confusion. We aren't really meant to gain a complete understanding of Fear and Hunger's divinity. Understanding would diminish the mystery. So the best you can do is pick your favorite theory. I'm fond of the single time loop, but it might actually be the case that something much more chaotic is happening. The temporal confusion here also serves to eliminate some of the narrative pressure imposed by the canon that will be established in the sequel. If we're dealing with a time machine and an unknowable dimension outside of time, there's lots of room for multiple interpretations of this game's events to play out. In any case, Enki eventually finds his divine reflection, and in a moment he experiences centuries of divinity. In 809 AD, 8 centuries before his mortal birth, he becomes a new god, the Enlightened One, whose terrific power and wisdom shepherded humanity out of antiquity, through the Dark Ages and into the Medieval Age. All the power is there, waiting to snare and shackle him in the same repetitive cycle that has come countless times before, waiting to excise him from the timeline and keep all of humanity locked in a loop.
Does he become the
temporal
tormented
prison to
one?
match the physical one which has become so familiar to the priest. But Enki has come prepared. He feels the soul anchor that Nostramus gave him, a reminder of who and what he is.
Yeah,
and
the
he
soul
turns
anchor.
away. Enki witnesses his own divinity, but he does not take that poison prize. Instead, he returns to the world in his own time. Not a god, but one step closer to true enlightenment, which he has learned is not a destination, but a path without end. He, Nasra, and Ragnvaldr part ways. The unlikely trio have each found fulfillment in their quests. Lagarde and his plans are in ruins.
Oh my god, look at his
The new gods are
pose.
dead, and Enki has been transformed by his brush with divinity. Like Nostramus, who has dwelled in the caverns for centuries, he has become something more than human. Rather than turning inward, Enki uses his wisdom for the betterment of humanity. The Dark Priest was already a respected scholar, but his treatises on the divine, known as Skin Bibles, will go on to become the definitive works of religious scholarship in the coming centuries. Something has chased Kahara and the girl into the caverns, and he's beginning to think he knows what it is. The Crow Mauler is all that remains of Captain Rudimer, who stood up to the darkness and lost his mind. And though he's managed to blind it with a vial of acid, the monster is relentless in pursuing him, as if trying to drive the pair somewhere. With nowhere left to run, the pair take a leap off the edge
that's
of a
the
precipice,
Endless's daughter.
tumbling into the open maw of some dead or sleeping creature.
The
The pair
depths.
step out onto a pile of bodies, impossible in number. An entire kingdom lies dead beneath their feet. At least the Mauler hasn't pursued them. But where are they?
Some are horrifying. Ugh. Imagine stepping on all
The girl
those.
walks to the edge of the abyss, and Kahara begins to feel uneasy.
Squishy. Ugh. Girl gives you a reassuring smile. She's gonna jump.
The sensation grows until it's a gut-churning terror. It's coming from the girl.
Oh my god!
She falls to the ground and screams, her little body twisting into impossible shapes. Kahara tries to help, but she's thrashing out of control. She recedes briefly into the dark and rapidly stretches and grows into something new and terrible.
Oh.
The girl, child of Nilvan the Endless, a deity now stricken from existence, and Lagarde, the dead subject of a failed prophecy, has ascended. Kahara knows none of this, but as he watches her protean body explode into different shapes, as he feels the pressure of burgeoning divinity, he realizes what he's looking at. This child, abandoned and trapped in a lifetime of terror and misery, has become the ultimate embodiment of all she's ever known. The
Oh
god
my
of Fear and Hunger
god.
is born. The god continues to grow and change, shifting from a representation of one little girl's misery to something more.
What the
Now
fuck?
she's a woman. Now she's a cavernous maw, dozens of arms reaching out as she comes to embody not just
Oh my
the suffering that she
God.
endured, but the suffering of others.
This is not my
Finally, the
god.
settles on a
I would
faceless
not
idol,
pray to this god.
abstract and anonymous, the kind of thing that anybody could see themselves in. It spends a moment gazing at the doll given to it by Darce, reflecting on the brief glimmer of kindness that the girl received in her last days. And then, it unleashes its divine energy on Kahara, who fights with everything he has.
It's because your faith is too
It
weak?
isn't enough.
No, my faith
It
is
never
in...
could be.
What
This
was
is
the
not one of
Jesus
new
Christ
gods.
god?
It's
The
not a thing that
Almer?
can be fought. It's a concept with the weight of existence behind it. To struggle against it is not difficult or even impossible. It's meaningless.
Oh.
But Kahara does struggle, and in struggling, he suffers. That is something the newborn god understands.
Yeah, he is hitting for 1.9k. He's kind of throwing hands. Is this winnable? Ooh, not with that miss. 1 HP in a dream. Kahara wins! The god of
She
fear and hunger.
acknowledges him, and the weight of that acknowledgement crushes him instantly. Ragnvaldr goes on to become a legend, not among men, but among the monsters that prowl in the
Okay,
dark,
survey
who
cunt.
learn to fear the so-called god of ultraviolence.
Oh.
He travels the world with his faithful companion, hunting these creatures down for the rest of his days, until in many places, their existence is relegated to the stuff of fairy tales.
Oh.
In the libraries and laboratories of Mahabd, sleepless and on the verge of psychosis, Darce learned a secret. She was no mage, but that's okay. Someone had already done most of the work for her. She even found Sir Cyril. He'd lost a little weight, but all he needed was a mind elixir and he was good to go.
Oh. That'll
She
be
could
you.
have left with him, but there was still more important work to do. Fragmented instructions here and there contained all that she needed to prepare the spell of rebirth. And now, as she spills her blood, she's easily able to perform the incantation, as if some divine hand is guiding her.
Oh, that'll be
Once,
you.
That might have set off alarm bells, but Darce is no longer the woman she was. Lagarde's corpse sheds its skin, and a creature made of their intermingled blood rises from what was left of the man, calling itself a god. In the depths of delusion, she still believes that this is her beloved, and that one day he might feel the same.
Oh, he doesn't even
She
love her
continues
anymore?
to serve as his lieutenant, But he seems to have forgotten.
Looks
his
like
lofty
my
dreams of a
last
new era,
relationship.
becoming little more.
Were
than a
you Darce or
bloodthirsty warrior.
the reborn god?
And what of Nasra? He too would venture to the heart of darkness. Though the old gods have left this world, their traces remain, and surely if he has the strength to
Yes,
defeat the
damn.
new gods at the height of their power, he can challenge the traces of Grogroth.
Oh.
Ah well, nevertheless.
One shot is crazy.
Kahara's broken body lies on the
Oh,
alien
Kahara's not
plains
done
of
yet.
some
Okay, I thought he
unknown
was done.
abyss, at the foot of the god of fear and hunger. He struggles to stand, but for some reason, he just can't.
I believe in you,
Celeste
Kahara.
will
You gotta
never
make
see
it home to your
Kahara
baby.
again. She and her child will face the coming of a new age, unaware of the pivotal role that his sacrifice played. Fear and hunger is a being on par with the old gods. After centuries of struggling, mankind has gained a greater deity that understands and embodies the misery of human existence. She becomes the lash that drives industry, science, and commerce, and all their accompanying evils. Thus begins what will come to be known as the Cruel Age. These aren't the only stories found in Fear and Hunger, and they likely will not be the one that your playthrough tells. There are other gods to fight, other secrets to learn, and even if we're sticking to what Termina tells us is canon, there's a lot of wiggle room here, and that's a good thing.
That is a
Everyone
good thing.
will
I
have
like when a
different
sequel has
experience with
wiggle
Fear and
room for
Hunger.
the endings of the
I
first
don't
game.
think there's any other RPG quite like it. The ability for these disparate story threads to merely exist in this intertwined space feels miraculous in action. So what does Fear and Hunger actually have to say? There's some pretty dark stuff in the plot, and certainly more than I showed. And that's given it an undeserved reputation as some sort of try-hard edgelord game for sickos. People engaging in that kind of critique certainly have a point that these elements can be especially uncomfortable for some, and that players ought not to be blindsided with them. I think most people, though we'd all draw the line at a different point, might agree that gratuitous content can serve to glorify violent acts or diminish their seriousness, especially if they're handled carelessly. But something about the way that Fear and Hunger presents its content feels much more like commiseration than gratuity. Much like its titular deity, the game gets it. Life can be downright terrible, and one way or another, we all get a turn on the rack.
Yeah, I mean,
Misery is
honestly, it's
something
pretty
that
easy for
everybody
people to
has in
die.
common, and by unabashedly embracing
So the fact that the
darkness,
game just
these
kills you
story
so
elements can
easily
serve
all
as
the
a
time is
reminder that
pretty
wherever you've
understandable.
been, somebody else has been there too. Though
That's
the game
rough,
is
buddy.
nowhere near as funny as its sequel, it does have its moments. The characters are simple, but they're fleshed out enough to care about. Enki, for instance, probably only has 10 or
Ultra
12
realism,
lines in the entire
exactly.
game,
You too
but
can
so
die
much
to a
is
bunch of
suggested that
dogs.
it's not hard to imagine how he'd react to the bizarre situations your party runs into. The character art helps a lot with this. I mean, look at him. You know exactly what kind of guy this is.
Yeah.
This game is good. It's really, really good. I've said in a review that its sequel, Termina, might be a better entry point due to its polish, but I think the original has a lot of strengths that the sequel lacks. And its impenetrability might actually add to them. If Termina is a cut and polished diamond, the first game is a meteorite made out of solid gold that crashes into your house and takes your leg clean off.
Oh, not my
It's
leg!
tough, yeah, but that's a one-of-a-kind experience.
No, my leg!
The game is less than $10 on Steam or itch.io. I really hope you'll check it out, or at least go hit up the sequel, which I've done a shorter, spoiler-free review on.
Shorter video.
Thank you all,
The 2.5 one.
and I'll see you in the dungeon.
You won't be seeing me in the dungeon. I'm not even gonna make it into the dungeon. I'm gonna kill by the dogs. I'm gonna die to the dogs. What do you mean you'll see me in the dungeon? I won't even make it in!